friends, it's the Cold Brew Chick here, and today I'm super stoked to be sharing a brand new cold brew maker that has just popped up onto the cold brew market. If you haven't heard, this is the Asobu, and it was most recently on Oprah's list of her favorite things, which I guess she releases every winter as things that she promotes people to buy for Christmas. Pretty cool to me. But it's saying a lot since Oprah's pretty popular. This is on the list, must be pretty good too. So today I'm going to go over how to use it. It's not a complex product by any means, but I thought I'd just kind of share some little tips and tricks I learned when I was playing with it on my own and share the final product that I came out with. So today for the cold brew, I ended up using the Trader Joe's Pumpkin Spice Cold Brew. I realized this came out a couple months ago, but what's really great about Trader Joe's coffee is that they seal it so that it lasts a pretty long time, even if you don't use it for months in my case. So for example, I bought this, I think in September, and it's good until February. So we're good in that aspect. But today I played around with this, and we're going to try it at the end to see how it turns out as a cold brew. But for the Asobu. So there's two parts to the maker. You have this first part here where the brewing process actually takes place. And then you have the second part here, which is kind of like a hydro flask or a clean canteen where it's insulated. So it keeps your cold brew cold for up to 24 hours, which is awesome. And you'll notice in here that there's a pre-built filter, so you don't have to worry about buying paper filters or this crazy messy cleanup afterwards. It's super easy to just dump it and be good to go. So today we're going to go ahead and make a cold brew. So what you have is you have this top part, and on the top you have the cone filter connected, and then you have this little open aerator thing here. Now at the very end when you drain it, this has to be open, and they give you the option of closing it if you're traveling with the Asobu or whatnot. I recommend when you're brewing the cold brew, keep this open anyway if it's just staying in the fridge or on the counter, because it lets the cold brew aerate while it's brewing. A little trick I learned from a barista. You want to have some airflow going on with your cold brew to let gases release and whatnot. And the opening is just perfect, so that way if you have it in your fridge or if you have it on the counter, other smells and odors aren't going to affect your cold brew beans per se, but it will allow the gases to come out. So you have this top part, and here, there is the filter. This is what it looks like. It's a cone mesh, and then here's the space where we put our water. So what we do is go ahead and take the top off, and Asobu comes with a recommendation of water to bean ratio, and they recommend 2 to 3 ounces or 60 to 90 grams of coffee beans per 3 cups of water. If you're like me and you don't have a scale, or in my case my battery broke for my scale, and you have no idea what does 2 to 3 ounces of coffee look like, or grams, I got you covered. 3 ounces of coffee is equivalent to 16 tablespoons of coffee. Now they gave you the option of doing 2 to 3 ounces, and when I did this batch that we're going to be trying soon, I did the 3 ounces and it came just to the top. It's literally the full capacity. So if you even don't want to worry about measuring, just pour as much coffee as you can into this filter and you should be good. But we're going to measure it for today. So they also recommend to do a couple of tablespoons or grams at a time, and then to pour the water in gradually to kind of let it, not brew per se, but kind of bloom in a sense. And so that way you're not just putting a bunch of coffee grounds and then a bunch of water on it. It can get a little messy. So since we're doing 16 tablespoons, I'll go ahead and pour in about 5, 3, 5. And then it says to do about 1 cup of water. This is 3 cups. I'm just gonna pour about that much in there. And the idea is to kind of saturate the grounds and kind of start the blooming, steeping process. And also just to kind of smush it in there, because when you have dry coffee, you know, it takes up a lot of space, and as you water it, it condenses down a bit. So that way we can fill it up with as much coffee as possible. Looks good. So now we're going to do another 5. Pretend that didn't happen. Pretend that didn't happen either. Alright, so now we got another 5. Pour a little bit more. And you want to try to pour it in concentric circles, so that way you're equally distributing the water to the coffee grounds. Do a little bit. I don't have much left. Okay. And now we're going to do our last 6. And you'll notice if you're doing the 3 ounces, I mean, it really does fill up to the top. All right. So I'm gonna kind of even that out there. I'm gonna pour the rest of my water. And you gotta be careful because the water can overflow a little bit. So you just be careful and kind of let it sit and start to steep. And don't worry, you'll notice if you do the 3 ounces of the coffee grounds, you'll notice that not all of the coffee grounds are going to be saturated when you close it and let it start to steep. And that's totally fine. The idea is that we just want to make sure that all the water that's present is in contact and steeping with coffee. So don't worry too much if you have a little bit extra on top that's not touched by the water. All right. There we go. So if you can't tell, this is literally like at the top. I could not add any more water or coffee if I wanted to, and I don't because don't like spills. But we're gonna let that kind of simmer down just a bit. Looks like it's about good. And then what you do is you go ahead and you put the top on. It seals on. There's a rubber spout thing around the end, so it closes very well with the Asobu top. And voila! So here you go. And now you just leave this alone. They recommend 12 to 24 hours. As always, I recommend 24 just because it's a lot easy to remember the time. So for example, we're doing this at 11 a.m. So just 11 a.m. the next day, I would go ahead and start the process. So what you would do is once you are done steeping, you press this button, and again, you have to make sure that this top part is open. And when you press it, the water will actually go down into the container. And then you have a top that's available for you to do on the container so that you can take it and travel wherever you go. What's nice about this too is that it's technically a portable cold brew maker. I actually had this steeping in my car, and I created like a little baby and had it wrapped up in my seatbelt. And it's definitely travelable. So if you ever wanted to steep a cold brew or make a cold brew but we're worried about time and pulling and whatnot, it's totally travelable. You can take it in your car, you can walk with it. You might get some funny looks, but you can definitely take it and steep your cold brew at the same time, which you can't say about many, if any, other makers out there. So what we're going to do now is pretend I just poured this all the way down, and we're going to try the cold brew as it came out. So this top part twists off and is its own little container here. So you could even do this on its own separately if this was dirty or you were using this for something else. You could keep this separate on your countertop or in the fridge. They recommend steeping this at room temperature, and I think that's under the assumption that you have this together. I believe putting this in the fridge can affect its ability to keep things hot or cold. But if you separated this and keep it as is, you could easily pop this in your fridge. It's not very tall, doesn't take up a lot of space to get that true cold brew. I steeped it at room temperature per the recommendation because I kept it as a kit. So we're going to be trying this cold brew at room temperature as well. I haven't tried this either, so this is a genuine, true, authentic first taste test of this coffee as a cold brew. So let's see how it is. First off, it smells fantastic. It smells like autumn, and it makes me really sad because here we are at the end of January, and it makes me kind of wish we were back in that time when it was Halloween and Thanksgiving, but not gonna get nostalgic. This is pretty yummy. It's not, I was a little worried doing the 3 ounces, the max amount of beans that they recommend. That would be too strong of a cold brew and too concentrated. But if you can see, it's very dark, but it's very clear. It did a really great job of filtering out all the grounds and all the oils, and you just are left with a really smooth cold brew. The thing with Trader Joe's pumpkin spice coffee, first of all, it's a single origin Brazil coffee, and then to create that pumpkin spice flavor, they add pumpkin spice flavor, which is a combination of nutmeg, cinnamon, and I believe allspice. vanilla beans, and orange peel. So you can really taste all those unique individual flavors in the coffee, which you may or may not like. I personally do. I really like Brazil cold brews, and I really like the flavor of pumpkin spice. So if you're someone that likes both of those, you would really like this as a cold brew. As a cold brew, I would give this a 4.25 out of 5. It could do a little bit more flavor, and maybe with different makers or whatnot, you could play around with that. But I think the combination of the Asobu, who I would easily give a 5 out of 5 just for its convenience and the fact that it filtered the ground so well, along with the combination of this coffee, is perfect. Hey friends, thank you so much for watching this tutorial and review of the Asobu Cold Brew Maker. I'm a big fan of this product, and now I want to share it with you through a giveaway. There's just 3 simple, well not 6, but 3 simple little things you have to do. The first, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so you never miss another video. The second, follow Cold Brew Chick on Instagram. And the third, on my post about the Asobu maker, comment which color you would want your maker to come in. It comes in 4 colors, this nice black here, copper, white, and silver. And to check out to see what those colors look like in person, you can go to their website, which I will put in the links below, along with links to my Instagram and the post. The contest starts now, and it ends next Friday, February 26th at 11:59 p.m. Good luck!